Kim Basinger, L.A. Confidential. Kim Basinger's role in L.A. Confidential is often cited as one of the more controversial wins in Oscar history.
So, so this is what any of these things up close look like.
Remembered for being a performance that, while contributing to a strong overall film, sometimes comes off as forgettable in its own right.
Has a dream out there, just know that I'm living proof that they do come true. Thank you so much to the Academy. I'm so grateful for this.
Basinger exudes an air of cool detachment and undeniable screen presence. Yet many critics contend that her portrayal lacked the depth and multidimensionality typically expected from an award-winning performance.
Daddy, this is for you.
In L.A. Confidential, her character seems more like a supporting piece in an otherwise complex narrative, rather than a fully fleshed out, dynamic individual.
There's some really true elements about this film, and you'll see them, the audience will see them as they see the film, but
This has led to persistent debates about whether her win was based on the strength of her performance, or if it was simply a byproduct of the film's overall success and momentum during the award season. For some, it appears that her role was overshadowed by more compelling elements of the story, making the honor seem more controversial than merited. Ultimately, while Basinger's contribution to the film is undeniable, the performance itself is remembered as one of the more ambiguous elements.
and even if they didn't look enough, they looked a little bit maybe like an Ava Gardner, but they needed to change a nose.
A case where the Oscar might have been awarded more for industry dynamics and star power than for a truly transformative, layered acting achievement. Sandra Bullock, The Blind Side. I've always admired Sandra Bullock's work, yet when it comes to her performance in The Blind Side, I just can't get behind the Oscar she received. I recall sitting in a theater with a friend one November evening in 2009, expecting to hear murmurs about her potential award season buzz. Instead, I found myself thinking, she's acceptable, but not groundbreaking. It baffles me how the accolades flowed so freely despite a performance that, in my view, lacked the necessary depth and nuance for an Academy Award. In my estimation, the honor should have gone to Gabourey Sidibe for her riveting role in Precious, a performance bursting with raw emotion and unfiltered intensity that deserved the spotlight far more.
Did I really earn this, or did I just wear you all down?
Furthermore, I believe Bullock's true potential would have shined brighter in a role like the one she delivered in Gravity, a film that presented a far more challenging and thought-provoking character.
I have to say, though, seriously, we were all talking about it after the film, though. I don't think you've changed in the 13 years I've been working at Access Hollywood.
In The Blind Side, her star power seemed to overshadow any real acting prowess, and it feels as if the award was driven more by her box office appeal than by artistic merit. Ultimately, her win strikes me as more of an industry favor than a celebration of a truly exceptional performance.
And this, I thank you so much for this opportunity that I share with these extraordinary women and my lover, Meryl Streep. Thank you.
Sean Connery, The Untouchables. Sean Connery's performance in The Untouchables is frequently discussed as a classic example of a win that leaned heavily on an actor's established persona rather than on a transformative, deeply immersive role.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, and a few enemies.
Connery, a towering figure in film history, brought with him decades of star power and a well-cultivated screen presence that clearly resonated with audiences. However, many critics argue that in this particular role, his performance felt more like a familiar, comfortable rehash of his iconic persona rather than a bold departure into new acting territory.
I don't think there's anyone aware, or unaware rather, in Hollywood or the rest of the world tonight that this is the 60th anniversary of these.
Instead of offering an innovative or challenging portrayal, Connery's work in The Untouchables often came across as a natural extension of the charismatic image he had long cultivated. This reliance on his celebrity and pre-existing appeal led some to question whether his win was truly earned by delivering an exceptional, transformative performance, or if it was simply a nod to his storied career and enduring popularity. For those who hold the highest standards of artistic depth, this win appears as an example where the aura of stardom overshadowed the substance of the role itself.
In winning this award, it creates a certain dilemma because I had decided, if I'd had the good fortune to win,
leaving viewers to wonder if the award was more about honoring legacy than celebrating a moment of exceptional, raw talent. Mahershala Ali, Green Book. Mahershala Ali's win for Moonlight remains one of my all-time favorite Oscar moments.
This is the second Oscar and second nomination for Mahershala Ali.
Yet his award for Green Book leaves me scratching my head. In Green Book, Ali's role is undeniably central, yet the performance never quite reached the emotional and artistic heights that I believe an Oscar should honor.
The Academy, thank you. I want to thank Dr. Shirley for...
I found the character portrayal in this film to be serviceable, but lacking the transformative spark that one expects from an award-winning performance. In contrast, Viggo Mortensen, who appears in the same narrative, offered a far more compelling and nuanced portrayal that could have easily carried the day.
Just trying to capture Dr. Shirley's essence pushed me to my ends.
It almost seems as though the Academy's decision was swayed by the overall prestige of the project, rather than the subtleties of the performance itself. Even Ali's own reaction on stage, tempered and reserved, hinted at some ambiguity about whether the accolade truly reflected his work. The win feels more like an acknowledgement of his rising stature in Hollywood, rather than a recognition of a deeply layered character study. In my view, the honor should have instead celebrated someone like Richard E. Grant, whose performance in Can You Ever Forgive Me demonstrated a spectacular range that Green Book simply did not offer. Roberto Benigni, Life is Beautiful. Roberto Benigni's role in Life is Beautiful is often hailed for its sentimental and charming qualities.
Thank you, Sophia!
Capturing the hearts of audiences worldwide. Yet a significant contingent of critics has argued that his performance, while endearing and uplifting, veers into territory that is arguably too sugary to be classified as a true acting masterpiece.
Leave here the Oscar, but I want you! I want to be rocked!
Benigni's portrayal is imbued with warmth, humor, and an unmistakable charm that indeed wins over viewers. But many feel that it sometimes lacks the complexity and gravitas that might be expected from a performance of such high accolade.
By the waves of your beauty, come here. Thank you, thank you. This is a moment of joy.
Rather than offering a layered or transformative character study, his approach is frequently seen as overly reliant on sentimentality, a style that, while effective in engaging emotions, borders on simplification.
Really to dive in this ocean of generosity, this is too much.
In the realm of acting, where subtlety and depth are prized, Benigni's work in this film can be viewed as a delightful yet lightweight performance. The ongoing debate highlights the tension between what is emotionally appealing and what is artistically rigorous. In essence, while his work in Life is Beautiful continues to be celebrated for its heartfelt qualities, the argument remains that its sweet, almost saccharine nature might not fully satisfy the standards of true acting excellence required for ultimate recognition. Joan Fontaine, Suspicion. Despite being a longtime admirer of classic cinema and a fervent fan of Alfred Hitchcock's work, I find Joan Fontaine's Oscar for Suspicion to be perplexing.
And I think I say in my book that I went to visit Hedda Hopper one day.
Hitchcock's films usually brim with tension and masterful storytelling, yet in this particular entry, Fontaine's performance feels oddly subdued and flat.
One does not dare go around with any kind of style any longer.
The film itself, though occasionally enjoyable, lacks the dynamic energy seen in Hitchcock's later masterpieces. It almost seems that Fontaine's win was a form of recompense for her earlier snub in Rebecca, rather than an endorsement of a truly stellar portrayal. I often wonder if the Academy's decision was more about settling past scores than about celebrating an outstanding performance. When I compare her work to other contenders, such as the ever-memorable Barbara Stanwyck in Ball of Fire, the disparity becomes clear. Fontaine's interpretation never quite ignited the screen as one might expect from a leading lady in a Hitchcock production. In my eyes, her acceptance of the award, though historically significant, remains a puzzling anomaly, a nod to legacy rather than a genuine tribute to performance excellence. It's a decision that, even decades later, leaves me with more questions than answers. Cher, Moonstruck. Cher's turn in Moonstruck remains a defining moment in her career, characterized by an undeniable charisma that lit up the screen.
I guess this represents 23 or 24 years of my work.
However, many critics argue that her performance, while spirited and engaging, was somewhat one-dimensional when compared to the richer portrayals delivered by her co-stars.
It'll tell you she was so glad that you won it was, I never kind of did hit the ground that night.
In this film, Cher brought a vibrant energy and playful charm to her role, elements that undoubtedly captivated audiences and made for memorable television.
I went back around the curtain, and she was standing there, and she took my hand and she said, "I'm so glad that you won it. I wanted you to win."
Yet despite these strengths, her portrayal often lacked the intricate emotional layers and subtle character development typically associated with an Oscar-winning performance. This led some to question whether the award was given more for her star status and the overall buzz of the film, rather than for a fully realized, complex acting achievement.
And I've never won anything before from my peers. I'm really, really happy. I'd like to thank everyone I worked on with the movie.
Rather than providing a deeply transformative or multifaceted performance, her work in Moonstruck sometimes felt like a series of engaging moments that never fully coalesced into a singular, powerful statement. As such, while her role in the film is celebrated for its charm and energy, there remains a persistent debate about whether it genuinely reached the level of nuanced excellence that the highest honors in acting are meant to recognize. Helen Hayes, Airport. Helen Hayes, a venerable talent whose career is studded with illustrious achievements, won the Best Supporting Actress Oscar for Airport. A film that remains one of the clumsiest of its era.
Sounds so delightful. My late husband used
Never
to
mind
say...
what he said. What about your ticket?
I cannot fathom why her performance in this particular movie, which is riddled with mediocrity, merited such a prestigious accolade.
Would you let this lady out, please?
The captain wants to see me? What happened?
And he doesn't like to be kept waiting. Now, come on.
There's no need to...
Having already earned an Oscar decades earlier, it seems as though the Academy awarded her for her long-standing career, rather than the merits of her role in Airport.
Well, on behalf of dear Helen, who is First Lady of the Theatre and certainly first tonight in most of our hearts.
In my estimation, the film's overall quality left much to be desired, and Hayes' contribution did little to elevate it. Instead, it appears the decision was more about paying homage to a lifetime of work than about the effectiveness of the performance in that specific instance. There's an undeniable sense that the award was handed out as a courtesy, a prestige gesture, rather than as recognition of exceptional craft.
And her beloved friend and that great and wonderful producer, Mr. Roth Hunter, who produced the film. Thank you very much.
Personally, I believe someone like Karen Black in Five Easy Pieces would have been a far more deserving recipient, given the raw authenticity and engaging presence she brought to the screen. For me, this Oscar feels like an outlier, a moment when career achievements outweighed the actual cinematic merit on display. Nicolas Cage, Leaving Las Vegas. Nicolas Cage's portrayal in Leaving Las Vegas has frequently been labeled as eccentric and over the top, prompting many to question whether his performance truly deserved the highest accolades. Cage's approach in this film is unmistakably intense and flamboyant. He pushes his character into extremes that some viewers found either mesmerizing or bordering on caricature. Critics contend that this heightened style, while memorable, often veered into territory that lacked the subtlety and restraint one associates with truly transformative acting.
One of these, I have got to thank the members of the Academy for this.
Instead of offering a measured, multidimensional portrayal, his performance sometimes seemed more like an exhibition of his signature idiosyncrasies, a display that prioritized dramatic flair over refined emotional expression. The controversy surrounding his win centers on whether the distinctive, even if unorthodox elements of his performance can be equated with genuine acting mastery.
Including me in this group of super talents and for helping me blur the line between art and commerce with this award.
In a field where the Academy typically celebrates intricate nuance and layered character work, Cage's approach in Leaving Las Vegas has remained a polarizing topic. For many, it raises the issue of whether a performance that leans so heavily on eccentricity can legitimately be called award-winning, or if it stands as an example of style overtaking substance in the world of cinematic accolades. Louise Rayner, The Good Earth. Louise Rayner's back-to-back Oscar victories are often cited as one of the most curious moments in Academy history.
Suggested his pet project, a film version of the Pulitzer Prize-winning novel.
And her win for The Good Earth is a prime example of this conundrum. After clinching the Best Actress award for Ziegfeld the previous year,
even though her role was relatively small compared to those of her fellow nominees,
Rayner's subsequent win seems more like a redundant pat on the back than a celebration of a performance that truly warranted such an honor. Moreover, her portrayal in The Good Earth, in which she takes on a role as an Asian character despite not belonging to that ethnicity, is especially problematic.
Considering how well remembered and well received her fellow nominees' performances were,
in today's terms, this casting choice would be heavily criticized, and even by the standards of that era, it feels off-mark. The performance itself lacked the cultural authenticity and depth that one would expect for such a significant award. Instead, it appears that Rayner's established reputation in previous accolades played a larger role in her receiving the Oscar than her actual contribution in this film. I find it hard to reconcile the idea of awarding a performance that hardly challenges or transforms its actress. In my opinion, there were far better choices available, talents who embodied the spirit and complexity of the character in a more genuine manner. This win remains a controversial and uncomfortable reminder of outdated practices in Hollywood. John Mills, Ryan's Daughter.
The winner is John Mills in Ryan's Daughter.
John Mills's Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in Ryan's Daughter is one of those moments that still leaves me bewildered. In the film, Mills plays a relatively silent, peripheral role, a performance that, by all accounts, hardly steals the spotlight. Yet against all expectations, he walked away with the award. I recall watching the film and thinking that the role was more of a quiet presence than a dynamic, transformative performance. It almost seems as if the Academy opted to honor a respected veteran who had yet to secure an Oscar, rather than recognizing a truly standout performance on screen. When compared to other candidates from the same year, it's hard to justify how Mills' understated portrayal managed to eclipse more compelling and vivid characterizations. In my view, this award was less about the art of acting and more about rewarding a long and venerable career. It's as if the voters were saying, "We appreciate your contributions over the years, even if that particular role did not resonate with cinematic brilliance."
Well, I really, honestly, was not expecting to be standing here with Oscar. I really was not.
Looking back, I can't help but feel that the honor would have been far better bestowed upon someone like Chief Dan George from Little Big Man, who delivered a performance with undeniable depth and presence. Elizabeth Taylor, Butterfield 8. Elizabeth Taylor's Oscar win for Butterfield 8 remains a perplexing chapter in the history of the Academy Awards.
Her first Best Actress Oscar for Butterfield 8.
Known for her iconic status and previous triumphs, such as her unforgettable turn in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Taylor's performance in Butterfield 8 simply doesn't measure up to those legendary moments. The film, rife with overblown melodrama and tacky theatrics, never allowed her true talent to shine through. It appears that the award was less about the quality of the acting and more a sympathy gesture fueled by scandal. Rumors of her near-death experience on the set of Cleopatra swayed the voters. This sort of narrative, where personal peril becomes intertwined with award decisions, undermines the credibility of the honor. In my opinion, the role deserved far more critical scrutiny, and many of us feel that a more deserving candidate, such as Deborah Kerr, who has long been overlooked, should have been recognized instead. Taylor's win, while historic in its own right, seems to be an anomaly, a moment where the drama behind the scenes eclipsed the artistic merit on the screen. It stands as a reminder that sometimes even the most celebrated names can be caught up in awards politics rather than true performance excellence. Rami Malek, Bohemian Rhapsody. Rami Malek's victory for his portrayal in Bohemian Rhapsody is one of those decisions that continues to spark heated debate among film enthusiasts.
This is the first Oscar and nomination for Rami Malek.
While the film itself is undeniably entertaining, Malek's performance, in my view, often comes off as overly calculated and lacking in genuine depth. His portrayal of Freddie Mercury is laden with stylistic flourishes that, at times, border on the superficial. It almost feels as though the win was driven by the relentless hype surrounding the movie and the formidable machinery of award season, rather than by a truly transformative acting achievement.
Oh my God. My mom is in here somewhere.
Many believe that the award was a byproduct of a marketing machine that swept across the industry, leaving little room for a more deserving contender.
Oh, I love you. I love you, lady. My family, thank you for all of this.
I find it particularly frustrating when I compare his work to what Bradley Cooper could have delivered in a film like A Star is Born, where the performance resonated on a much more emotionally authentic level.
My dad didn't get to see me do any of this. He's not, but I think he's looking down on me right now.
Ultimately, Malek's win for Bohemian Rhapsody remains a contentious moment, a decision where the spectacle of rock and roll and the glamour of the biopic overshadowed the finer points of acting craft.
I'm so appreciative to all of you, to everyone who has had a hand in getting me here.
It is a stark reminder that sometimes the narrative behind the award can overshadow the artistry involved. Mary Pickford, Coquette. Mary Pickford's Oscar triumph for Coquette is a relic of early Hollywood that I find deeply unsettling. As one of the founding figures of the Academy, her win appears to be less about the intrinsic quality of her performance and more about her considerable influence behind the scenes. In Coquette, her portrayal is high-pitched and grating, hardly the kind of nuanced, emotionally complex work one would expect from an award-winning performance. Rather than being a genuine celebration of talent, it seems as if Pickford effectively purchased her way into the annals of Oscar history. The performance itself is, by modern standards, remarkably one-dimensional, lacking the depth and subtlety that more deserving actresses have exhibited over the years. It is difficult to reconcile the image of such an uninspired performance with the honor it received. In my view, the award should have recognized a far more accomplished performance, someone who truly embodied the character with a rich and layered interpretation. Mary Pickford's win stands as a reminder of a time when industry clout often trumped genuine artistic merit, a practice that, thankfully, is less common today. It remains one of the more questionable decisions in the history of the awards. Renee Zellweger, Cold Mountain. When it comes to the most baffling Oscar decision of all, Renee Zellweger's win for Cold Mountain tops my list.
This is Renee Zellweger's first Academy Award.
I have watched the film multiple times, and every viewing leaves me irked by her performance. Zellweger's attempt at a Southern accent feels forced and out of sync with the overall tone of the movie, creating a jarring effect that disrupts the film's atmosphere. It's as if she overcompensated in her portrayal, inundating the screen with mannerisms that never truly belong. For me, the performance appears to be a textbook case of style overtaking substance, where the win was secured not on the basis of genuine acting prowess, but rather on a narrative of overdue recognition, stemming partly from her near miss with previous nominations. I can't help but think that the award was more about the momentum of her career, particularly after her near triumph for Chicago, than about the actual quality of her work in Cold Mountain.
I'd like to thank the Academy for inviting me here tonight alongside so many talented people.
In my opinion, the role would have been far better served by a performer with a more grounded and authentic presence. Someone like Holly Hunter, whose work in House of Sand and Fog would have brought a richer emotional palette to the screen.
Patricia, Marcia, and Sheree, I am honored to be here with you.
Zellweger's win remains the most perplexing, a decision that continues to divide audiences and critics alike. Below are 7 newly worded analyses, each running between 200 and 220 words, that capture the same meanings as the original points.
Here because of so many people, and I would like to thank them now, if I could. Charles Fraser, thank you for your masterpiece and the gift of Ruby.
Halle Berry, Monsters Ball. Halle Berry's Oscar win for Monsters Ball is a subject of enduring debate. Many critics maintain that while her achievement was undeniably historic, the performance itself did not quite deliver the compelling depth one might expect from an Academy Award winner. In her role, Berry provided moments of emotion that felt genuine. Yet overall, her portrayal seemed to lack the intricate nuance that characterizes truly exceptional work. Rather than being celebrated solely for a transformative performance, her accolade was viewed by some as more of a symbolic milestone, a recognition of her breaking barriers as an African-American actress in a predominantly homogeneous industry. This win, therefore, appears to have been influenced as much by the historic nature of her achievement as by her actual on-screen artistry. Critics argue that if one were to evaluate her performance solely on its artistic merits, it might have fallen short of the standard expected from an Oscar-winning role. The conversation surrounding her win underscores the tension between acknowledging groundbreaking representation and celebrating raw, unfiltered talent. In essence, while Berry's triumph marked a significant moment in Oscar history, the substance of her performance has continued to provoke discussion about what truly defines an award-worthy performance. Cuba Gooding Jr., Jerry Maguire. Cuba Gooding Jr.'s performance in Jerry Maguire is often remembered for its undeniable charisma and star power. Yet many voices in the film community argue that his portrayal lacked the depth and subtlety typically expected of an Oscar-winning role. Throughout the film, Gooding Jr. exudes a magnetic presence that instantly commands attention. However, beneath the surface, critics feel that his performance leaned too heavily on raw energy and charm, rather than delivering a layered, meticulously nuanced character study. This approach, while entertaining and commercially successful, left some wondering if it truly deserved the highest honors. Instead of offering a transformative acting experience, his performance sometimes came off as a calculated showcase of his natural charisma, more a demonstration of star appeal than a deep dive into the emotional intricacies of the role. The overwhelming enthusiasm for his work appears to have stemmed from his established reputation and box office draw, rather than an unequivocal display of acting brilliance. As a result, the accolade awarded to him has sparked ongoing debate, raising questions about the balance between star power and artistic depth in determining what constitutes an Oscar-worthy performance.